Please welcome from Microsoft Studios, Phil Spencer.
You know, Microsoft, we have kind of three core pillars to our strategy right now, and I think this played out in our press conference. We're trying to show the biggest blockbuster games live on Xbox 360, open the show with Call of Duty, had exclusive like Gears, which we believe will be the #1 console exclusive this year, Forza, which I think shows a great racing game, introduced new franchises like Rise and the new Fable franchise and Fable Journey, obviously closed with Halo 4 coming, the next great addition to the Halo franchise. So core blockbusters, a real key for us. We'll continue to push there. Continuing to innovate with Kinect. Kinect feels like a new platform to us. We just launched that in November, and you see the capabilities of the platform continuing to evolve. It's a big focus for the organization. I'd say lastly, thinking about all-up entertainment and how we can redefine how people consume entertainment with voice search, Bing, bringing live TV to the Xbox, bring a broader set of media, movies, TV to the console. Surely that's the whole area that us as first-party studios we're focused on.
UFC on Xbox shows how this industry is transforming television by adding interactivity and your friends to the experience. And with thought leaders like UFC and ESPN and partners who recognize the power of interactive TV, Microsoft Studios is leading the way in changing the very definition of entertainment.
When we launched Kinect, I always believed that Kinect would be something similar to Live that ends up in every genre of games that we have. We did had a real focus at launch of Kinect to build games that we'd call for everybody, that everybody in the family could play. And I thought we did a decent job of delivering those franchises, and the games have sold well. Dance Central, Kinect Sports, Kinectimals, Joyride. You see games doing well, which is nice. This year, you see continuation with Disney and Star Wars and other things that I would say are everybody titles. But the way the core developers, our internal and external developers, have really started to take Kinect and take the technology to the next level. I look at like the Gunsmith stuff in Ghost Recon, not a first-party studio, but that was cool, right? Just watching the Mass Effect work with the voice that they're doing, very interesting. The Forza, which is obviously one of ours, the head tracking that they're doing, and then like Peter Molyneux thinking from the ground up, how does Kinect enable me to tell a new Fable franchise? It's really evolved somewhat organically, but what it showed when we stood on stage this week was, yeah, Kinect is really there for all kinds of games.
So obviously, I mean, we're sort of a little off track on the interview, but do you know what the attachment rate for Kinect is like in terms of software attachment?
I don't have the number in my head. I can say the things I do know. Obviously, we sold over 10 million Kinects, which is great. We have over 55 million 360s out there, so you can do that attach rate. Then you can look at numbers like NPD here in North America and see how the sales have been. Important thing for me is I think we've launched a couple new mega franchises. If you look at Kinect Sports, over 3 million units sold through, well over 3 million units sold through at this point, continuing to sell incredibly well. Dance Central, and these are games that really aren't possible. Like you can think about Dance Central on a controller, doesn't really make sense. So I think Kinect, as much as the attach rate, has really allowed us to launch a couple new mega franchises I think will live on. It's nice to see Dance Central continue to evolve and Kinect Sports continue to evolve here at the show.
What can you tell us about Halo 4?
Huge Halo fan, was around when we launched Halo 1 on the 360, which is one of the reasons I'm excited to see the anniversary edition and getting to play Halo 1 on Live finally. Get achievements for finishing the game will be a nice thing. Halo 4, there's some interesting things to think about with Halo. Halo 1 shipped 10 years ago. For some gamers who came onto our platform in 360, their experience with Halo and Master Chief has been different than those of us that started on Xbox One, who had Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3. We really got centered on what Master Chief was about. Halo 4, back to Master Chief at the core of an arc, a story arc, and really watching Master Chief be Master Chief, that kind of overpowering, cool character, the John Wayne, if you want to say, of the sci-fi world. And that's really where you see 343 taking Halo, is kind of back to its core. you think about Halo, I'd say there's a couple things that Halo has always been about relative to other first-person shooters, as well as just kind of the core to the franchise. One is playing through story in an immersive open world. Right? If we think back to Halo 1, 2, and 3, and even Reach, you drop yourself in not set encounters, but rather more open encounters in open worlds, and making sure that you really feel connected to the world that you're in. And you're empowered to kind of play the game as you want to play it. Do I want to snipe? Do I want to be, am I a melee player? Is it about grenades? Like, how do I want to play? And in Halo 4, we'll come back to how is it that you want to play, you as Master Chief. The other thing that's always been core to Halo is online. And making sure that Halo 4 continues to innovate online in a big way and make sure it stays at the top of live.
So it's been announced as a new trilogy as well. Do you have a sort of a publishing schedule for it yet? I mean, are we looking at Halo as, say, for example, an annual franchise to compete with not compete, but side by side with the Modern Warfares of this world, with the Call of Duties?
You know, the team at 343 that was thinking about what story they wanted to tell next, and people who know the Halo IP is deep and it's a rich world, a lot of story to tell, they actually found a story arc that they wanted to tell that played out over 3 games, so that made sense. And there's a lot of trilogies out there, so in some ways people might say, well, everybody picks a trilogy, right? Even great movies built come from New Zealand. But they found a story they wanted to tell over 3 beats. 2012 will be the first thing. For us, it's about making sure we get the game right, making sure that the game delivers on what people have known to love about Halo, and the release schedule will follow the quality of the game.
So obviously, speaking about getting the game right, and Halo is an awfully big pair of shoes to fill, and Bungie's moved on.
Yeah.
Do you feel are you eyeing up other developers to sort of fill that incredibly large gap?
Well, we feel really good about our studio 343 that's working on Halo today, and it's one of those rare opportunities when you can build a team of people that are uniquely passionate about Halo. And we were able to bring the people together. Many of these people grew up playing Halo, and the opportunity to come together, and you have Bonnie Ross running the studio, Kiki Wolfkill is our production lead, Josh Holmes as our creative director, Frank O'Connor, who's been with Halo forever, coming over from Bungie to be part of that. And the team, Corinne Yu, David Wu, it's an incredible team. I say a team, right? They're coming together to ship their first game together, and that's always a challenge and an opportunity. So working with them as they go through that is great. But today's games are big, and the size of teams that you have to bring together, and the people who we kind of partner with to make that whole experience work is an important part of the equation.
So obviously Lionhead is another important stable. How do you manage someone like Peter Molyneux?
Oh, Peter. So I've been working with Peter Molyneux now for 10 years. I started working with him on Fable 1, codenamed Project Ego, if those remember that, and which I thought was funny with Peter. And then and a game called BC. We had 2 games signed with Lionhead at the time. This is before we had acquired the studio, so this when they were external. Peter is a deeply passionate person about creativity. And he really bears his soul in every game that he's building. Sometimes he will get very aspirational about the vision he wants to put in people's heads, and I think sometimes he unfairly gets knocked for that. And because he's really just there. He just gets very passionate and very involved. And I know he's doing the Fable Journey demos downstairs. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I know it's the same thing. Like, this is every time he builds a game, it is his heart and soul out there for the public. And I think it's so actually easy to work with somebody like that when you know their motivation is just to do absolutely the best thing that they can.
Are you guys sort of involved in any way with, for example, BioWare adding Kinect compatibility for Mass Effect 3? Are you guys involved in that at all? Is there any sort of...
So we're doing a couple things. One, specifically with Mass Effect, obviously we published the first Mass Effect game with BioWare before they were acquired by Electronic Arts. We first worked with them on an RPG called Jade Empire, and then we went to Mass Effect. So I have a lot of love for the Mass Effect franchise because I watched it kind of grow and become what it is. what we do as a first-party developer is we will innovate. So Kudo stood on stage and showed some things, Kinect Fun Labs, some technology demonstrations that people can now use on Xbox to show how the technology evolves. We're very active in sharing what we've learned and even code that first party has built that we think can help other developers accelerate faster. And nothing specific that I talk about in terms of Mass Effect, but we definitely take our role as a first party, not only just delivering great games, but sharing the experiences that we've had on our platform to help everybody make 360 games better.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I see like there's so much. The modding community around Kinect has been fantastic.
It is, yeah.
Is that something you guys are actively supporting? And with regard to Kinect Fun Labs, it seems to me like that's a sort of like a showcase almost of what the Kinect's capable of, you know, and it's almost like a brushed up modding community.
You've nailed it, right? That's exactly how we thought about it. We looked at all the innovation that people mainly in the PC space, but some of it in like robotics and other things that people have done, which I thought was just amazing. And we've said, I think it's great for a lot of our customers who look at Xbox and Kinect as something plugged into their TV. They didn't really have a world into even seeing what was possible. So we said, hey, can we open up a spot on 360 where this kind of innovation can come to the forefront? The first things that you see are things that we've built internally, but the end goal for us is to really allow the indie community and university community to help us populate that Fun Labs with stuff that's interesting. Now, I want to make sure it's a safe and the code is the code that should be on your box. But I'm really looking at that as a showcase of innovation for Kinect and letting people consume that, experience that on their 360 at home. I think is great.
So we come to these events, and obviously, when we come to Microsoft, we're always talking 360 and PC, which is obviously has the largest install base of anything in the world.
Yes.
Seems to get left behind. What can you tell us about your PC strategy for PC?
Well, the first thing I'd say about E3 is it tends to be a console show, right? So that's just where we are. And we, like at our showcase event, we showed something I'm really excited about, with Age of Empires Online coming. And PC space has changed quite a bit. And I definitely wasn't interested in chasing last decade's PC games. If we're going to be a first party in PC, let's try to do things that are relevant, new, different. But there are things like Age of Empires, which are franchises that people know and love. And we said, how can we reinvent that franchise in a world that's more relevant today? So let's build a massive online version of Age where people can play together. There's PvP, friends are online, you can trade, share, and while you're working through what is, most people would say is a traditional, other than skirmishing online, solo experience with an RTS game. Really excited about the work that Chris Taylor and his team are doing there at Gas Power Games, doing similar work in other spaces on PC that will kind of roll out over time. Like I said, this show is more about console, but with stuff that you see around Windows and Windows 8 slates and stuff that have been shown. I think the Windows space from a platform and hardware perspective is a lot of innovation, and we want to be there. Similar to what we're doing on the phone. Right, as a first party, we play a big role on the phone, and I'm proud of the work that our team has done to show up as a first party there.
Can you elaborate more about what you're doing
on the phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a team run by somebody, by Matt Booty, who's used to work at Midway, really innovative, creative guy, and really thinking about connected experiences all up across multiple screens. Starting with the phone, because the phone's always with you. It's something that you take wherever you go. But really trying to think forward about what does it mean when you have your TV, you have a laptop, tablet scenario, slate scenario, and a phone, and how all those things can work together. We started when Windows Phone 7 launched because we obviously understand that platform, and it helps us kind of innovate. Put Xbox Live Tile on the phone, you can get achievements for playing your games on the phone. We've done well on the phone as a first party in terms of the hits that we've Elo Milo, The Harvest, some games that have done incredibly well. And really thinking about how those can spread to, Elo Milo is now also on the 360. How can we really start to push this content to all the screens?
Obviously, the greatest strategy is to turn your Xbox into a sort of entertainment system.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
What can you talk us through how you intend to do that?
Well, we're now at a point where a large percentage of the time that people spend on Xbox Live is actually spent outside of gaming. Now, in one sense, I could say, boy, that just means people aren't playing as many games. But actually what has happened is it's not that we've eroded the time that people are spending games. We've grown the amount of time that people are spending all up on Xbox Live, which I think is strong. Now with live TV coming to Xbox Live, I think we will be a more relevant platform for everybody in the home for all forms of entertainment. One of the challenges, though, for us is we want to turn on TV in a way that takes advantage of what we are as a platform. It's why UFC is interesting to me, because you can bring something that traditionally has come over your satellite box, cable box, and we can add a level of interactivity on top of the pure TV viewing experience that is unique to what we are as a platform. And while we're doing this with UFC, you can imagine over time that that kind of functionality will show up across all kinds of TV entertainment. And I'd say at the same time with Bing voice search, because when you add things like YouTube, TV, you end up millions of pieces of content, how do you find it? So now voice through Kinect and search together, I can find the entertainment I want. I say it, Xbox finds it. That's simple and intuitive.
Have there been any disappointments in the last few years? Anything that...
Well, I mean, it's, you know this, you run a website that, you know, people come to you and they look for entertainment and information. That anytime you're trying to engage consumers have busy lives and multiple distractions, and you only get so many chances. Really, you get one chance to delight them uniquely, and it doesn't always work. I think you actually, as a creator, you need to be on both sides of success. If you're trying to always succeed and you know you'll always succeed, I think you're being too safe. So it's that fine line between delivering products that are innovative enough that they can catch the hearts and minds of consumers, but not so far out that you fall off the other side. But I'm always interested in being, you know, kind of straddling that line, because I don't want to play it too safe. But what that means then is there are things you spend hours on and teams on that come out and they don't have the huge success that we'd all like. But that's okay, because it's a journey. You know, it's not a single point of success.